G'day guys, this is Forristicat. It's 29th of May, 11:09 PM in Down Under, Australia. I've just been asked to, well, on top of that, I actually want to do this, to do a retrospective on Fallout 3 in particular. Now I realise that, this game has been out for a while. However, have hope, thinks it's a good idea to get the video game section of Talkback world up, of the Talkback Senate up, in terms of reviews. So I said, cool, I enjoyed playing Fallout a lot, and I thought it would be a good idea to give a little insight into my personal journey with video games in general. I remember my very first console was a Nintendo Game Boy. My very first game on that was a game called Dr. Mario. Now, Dr. Mario was a game where it was basically Tetris, and Mario would throw these pills into this bottle, and you were to rotate the pills to actually make them line up. That game at the time was pretty fun. I guess we've come a long way than Pill Pop and Mario trying to line up his pills. But nevertheless, that was my first taste of video games. From there, I was enjoying the Donkey Kong series on the Game Boy. I remember the good old days where you couldn't actually save to the cartridge. Nevertheless, they were fantastic. My true first magical moments, however, came with the Sega Game Gear. This was a chunky device that from memory had to take about 8 AA batteries. So when I got it for Christmas and I held it in my hands, it was something special, and I think this rings true for any good movie or any video game that we've played. That a lot of a lot of our favorites, or at least in my experience, come from our childhood. And this is a sort of interesting debate. Like our favorite movies and games that are from our childhood, are they really that good, or do we just think or feel that they are that good because they came from a sort of sacred time in our lives? That's up for debate. But nevertheless, it was my first color handheld console. In fact, I think it was the first in the world. I can't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, again in the comments. I remember playing Mortal Kombat, I think number 2 on that. I got that eventually. I bought it off a friend. I remember playing this Mickey Mouse game called Castle of Illusion, and also this other game called Land of Illusion. These were Mickey Mouse games. Land of Illusion in particular cost $72 Australian dollars. That was pretty expensive for a handheld game, but the graphics at the time blew my mind, and it was very magical. You had to climb this beanstalk, and you had to everything was set in this like ethereal, like a illusion world basically. But completing that game was there was something special at the time for me. Moving on to the Super Nintendo, I had this bizarre ghost catching game, and I got treated to the Donkey Kong games on the Super Nintendo. These were all really fantastic games. Personally, when I was growing up and didn't have a lot of money, I was sort of concerned about the shelf life of consoles. So I was really worried when Mr. Big Bag Nintendo 64 came along out of the corner. I thought, well, damn, with this coming out, does that mean that Super Nintendo won't get any support anymore? Does that mean I have to wave goodbye to my treasured Donkey Kong games? Or whatever I thought then, what actually happened was I'd end up buying Nintendo 64, and I remember I went sort of crazy, and I sort of ran into a bit of money, and I sort of bought a lot of unnecessary Nintendo 64 games. But there were a couple of classics in there, like GoldenEye and Super Mario 64. Just mentioning that, that was another special moment. The first 3D game, true 3D game I've ever played, not having played any keyboard or computer games rather. So hitting that red block and putting on the red cap and seeing Mario fly for the first time, again another special moment in gaming for me. Next was my first disc, in terms of you insert a disc into a console. That was my first. My first console was in that regard was the Sega Dreamcast rather. I, I can't remember why exactly I chose the Dreamcast in terms of my first DVD based console. I think I just hopped on the bandwagon. I guess I thought I sort of like Sonic, so and I ended up getting the Dreamcast. Now, the Dreamcast was something that sort of burnt out very quickly, and there's a saying that like the candle that burns brightest burns quickest. So the Dreamcast was a console that actually introduced me to my favorite game of all time,